My name is Alán Pelaez Lopez, and I am a experimental writer, jewelry maker, and collage artist. I've been making jewelry since I was 6, so I consider like that as my first art practice. Um, and I made jewelry from the age of 6 to about 18. When I was 18, I opened an online jewelry store and ran that for about 5 years. And it was my primary income for some time. And poetry I've been writing since, I think it was about 8 years old. I still remember my first poem. It was about wanting to be a seahorse because I knew that like male seahorses were the ones that got pregnant and carried the child. And I so badly wanted to have a child before I even hit puberty. So that was my first poem, wanting to give birth. In my poetry, I critically think about the role of Black futures and how Black futures are surveilled by nation states. I primarily write about undocumented migration and forced migration, and I think about the flight of people as kind of like what is criminalized. Um, in my work, I think about undocumented migrants, and I understand their experiences, our experiences, not as like, oh, they're illegal, but it's more of their imagination and their will to live is illegalized. And because I write about Black migrants, I often think about how their migrations betray, in a sense, the afterlife of slavery. They have such wild dreams and such future-driven dreams that they'll engage unauthorized border crossings to try to architect a future outside of the nation state, outside of how Black mobility is allowed to be in the world. And yeah, so through critiques of nationalism and like analysis of Black futurity is how race and ethnicity come up in my work. I think that art is a tool in which to make sense of the world. Oftentimes, I think that laws and policies teach people how to think about the world or how to understand what is happening. And art can sometimes be an interruption to policy and to law. And when I say this, I say it referencing a lot of the work that Edward Stanticat has done as a Haitian American writer, thinking about the ways in which artists are sometimes the first to be disappeared in certain countries by their governments because the images they introduce, the stories they introduce, the politics they introduce might be too radical or might disorganize the social order. So I see art as the imaginative shift that betrays the law, that betrays politics, that betrays that which has been accepted for too long. My message for the world is that we try to slow down. Everything feels so fast-paced. And because the world is fast-paced, you know, there's so much happening, both like incredible things and catastrophic things. And I want to learn how to be still for longer. I want to be able to give that to myself. And I also want other people to give that to themselves so that I can also learn how to learn from their stillness. So that's kind of what I want the world to at least try to take on in regards to being alive and insisting aliveness amongst one another. I did not think that I could lead a life where I talk about crossing the fucking border and really not uplift the US. and also not vilify my home country. I just didn't think that I would be able to be in a place where I can write poetry about it, write like legal critiques, make collages or installations about unauthorized border crossings. And I do, and I love it, but I also want to live in a world where my work is like not needed. I want to build so that in the future I can think about something else. I can move away from this, and this will just be a memory in like the nation's historical amnesia. And yeah, I also didn't think that making jewelry would be how I survived for a part of my life, particularly because jewelry is like so taken for granted. And I'm like, yo, like, it's a beautiful artifact. And jewelry can teach us so much about how we understand others, how we hold ourselves, how we betray the roles that we're told to take, right? Like how we betray submission, how we betray fugitivity, how we betray silence, or the demand for us to be quiet. Yeah, it's the thing that I'm the most grateful for is jewelry and helping me find my voice as an artist and as a writer. One thing my grandma taught me how to use is a machete. So I will take that shit anywhere if I'm stranded. I also know how to like catch fish with my bare hands, but the gills freak me out. So it would be very useful to have like a knife instead of using my bare hands. Yeah. I mean, artists use knives all the time. Like X-Acto knives more than regular kitchen knives, but you know, I would not like an X-Acto knife. I would like maybe, you know, kitchen knife or a machete or what do you call them, an axe? Yeah.